Hi, everybody. This is Lowell, and we're talking about how to start a music school. And in this section, I'm dealing with core competencies, things that every music school should be offering. And these are my priorities for our school. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the role that improvisation plays. I know that I've been talking about reading music and reading scores and reading different parts, but there's also improvisation, which is, different. Most people think of these two subjects of improvisation versus reading as separate and distinct, but they're really not. When you're reading music, it's just dots on a page, and so your brain is translating what you're looking at into imagination based upon what you've heard. And so you've basically glued together in your imagination, in your mind, these dots on the page with an imagination of what sounds you've heard. And so it's kind of a symbiotic interrelationship between what you hear and what you see. And that's one of the great roles of learning music, is learning how to synthesize these two different aspects of learning as well as doing. So it's kinesthetic, visual, and oral, those three main types of learning. And so my point in improvisation is I wanted to bring up the great example of J.S. Bach. He would sit down and literally improvise a multi-part fugue just out of his imagination based upon the skill that he had. So his improvisation was like composing. And yet when he was sitting down and writing manuscript paper, he did it so fluidly, it was as if he were improvising it. It just was very quick and easy to him because he was so skillful in doing that. So he could either improvise a fugue or he could sit down and write a fugue. So improvisation was like composing to him, and composing was like improvisation to him. And so writing music was like improvisation. So it was one and the same. And so what we want to do in our musicianship is to glue together these two aspects of approaching music. And a lot of people in our current society ridicule on both sides of that coin. People who improvise say, oh, you can't play by ear, you just have to always read music. And then the people that read music, denigrate the other side of the aisle. They say, well, you don't know how to read music, so you're less of a musician. And these types of arguments have been going on for a long time, but the best musician is fluid in both. And I've seen people who are absolutely great music readers who struggle to improvise. They struggle with their own creativity. And also I've seen people who are very creative and improvisational, but they can't seem to discipline themselves to learning how to read music. So both of these should work together. I was, as some may know, I was a music director at a church for many years, and I had these two extremes of people working in our team. And like I just said, they would fight against each other and criticize each other in these ways. And I finally found a proverb. I don't know exactly the verse designation off the top of my head, but it says, the seeing eye and the hearing ear, the Lord has made both of them. And so that pretty much closed up that argument gap between them. And so from that point forward, it was my goal to help those who were fluid in improvisation to learn how to read, and those who were good at reading to learn how to improvise. And we did make progress. I know that everybody has their own strengths, and that's great, and that's fine. But we should also seek to expand ourselves in ways that are less comfortable to us so that we can continue to grow as musicians.